Time for a corruption report. So last year when Donald Trump took office, he pulled $18 billion worth of already allocated funding away from New York City. He did this because he said that New York City was doing too much DEI and federal money wouldn't go towards DEI. What is DEI? I don't know. Finishing the 2nd Avenue subway, apparently. Also, Eric Adams was the mayor of New York City, and he got a pardon from Donald Trump. And he invested a lot of New York City's money into things that Donald Trump just is very coincidentally interested in, like AI and crypto. And when Eric Adams left office, New York City was at a $12 billion deficit. Something you might not know about New York City is it is illegal for our mayor to not balance the budget. We can't borrow from future years. It has to be a dollar for dollar to the cent balancing. So Mamdani comes in and he's lost $18 billion in federal funding from Trump. He's got a $12 billion deficit left behind by Adams, and he has to balance the budget. So to try to close the gap, Mamdani institutes a chief savings officer who is able to find about $7 billion in programs and delayed projects that they can claw about $7 billion back from, which leaves a $5.4 billion gap between how much money the city of New York City has and how much money they have to just fulfill basic needs. He goes to Governor Kathy Hochul because New York City sends billions of dollars up to Albany in tax revenue that goes to, programs throughout the entire state. And he's like, look, I'm still short $5.4 billion. So she gives him $1.5 billion of our own money back to help close the gap. Not enough. So Mamdani asks her to either tax the most profitable New Yorkers to make up the general budget deficit in New York and not just rely on pulling money out of New York City to cover the state's budgets, or she's going to put him in a really bad situation where already New York City residents pay super high taxes, a lot of which goes up to Albany to cover the rest of the state, and he'd have to ask them to pay even more to cover this mandatory budget that he has to have. So he would be forced to put a 9.5% property tax on New Yorkers, which is something that he doesn't want to do because it will affect most middle class and lower end people. So Mamdani is in this impossible situation and negotiating with the governor to try and say, listen, you either have to give us back some of the money that we typically pay you to cover the rest of the state, or you need to tax some of the wealthiest New Yorkers fairly, because they haven't been for a very long time, so that we can make up the budgets we need to for the state. Or you're going to put me in a situation where I have to try and get blood from a stone. And that's where we're at right now. And it's important for everyone across the nation to know where we're at, because this is the testing ground for Donald Trump trying to show that Democrats will raise your taxes. But it all goes back to him pulling all the federal funding. And because he can't win your vote, he's going to try and do this to all Democratic mayors and governors to try and say, oh, look, they have to raise your taxes because I took away their federal funding. But we can do something. You can call your governors, you can call your mayors, and you can say, listen, you cannot pass the federal shortfall onto us, the regular folks. You have to tax wealthy Americans. You have to fight Trump to get the federal funding back. We have time, we have autonomy, but time is running out, and New York City is the test case for how Donald Trump will move if this goes through.